Hello Internet, my name is Bobo. So you remember that scene in Across the Spider-Verse where Miles was fighting like 20 different spider people in a different dimension? Yeah, that was lame. Now what we really needed was Miles racing down a highway with Morbius chasing him and learning about the meaning of family with Vin Diesel. Now that would make a good movie. I really hope something like that exists. Thank you, LEGO. Why? Today we're looking at the LEGO Marvel Miles Morales vs. Morbius. This is one of the most random sets from last year, and it got the general reaction of
"It's more than time"
from every LEGO Marvel fan. Though it's still weird, just in a very specific way. Like, due to all the memes, I think everyone forgot that Morbius is still a Spider-Man villain we haven't gotten yet, so having Miles in a set fighting him, that really isn't a bad idea. Then we saw photos of the set and just got confused. LEGO Spider-Man has had issues within the last few years of having a lot of vehicles that, while not bad, just aren't the most interesting and you'd mostly just get the set for the figures, and the set does not break that trend. Here we have a Miles Morales themed car. It's unnecessary, completely random, and just makes you ask why Spider-Man needs a car. He lives in New York. Do you know how bad the traffic is? So obviously, I think the car is really nice. Yeah, I actually really like this build. While I will admit that for a Spider-Man set this doesn't really make much sense, LEGO still made it work about as well as it could. I'd say it has a pretty unique shape to it, as in it's not completely blocky. It's got some curves to it to make it stand out among other cars. The building process itself was also really interesting. It turned out to be a lot more complex than I expected it to be. It's also just a really solid build. It's nice to hold and roll around. I feel like I could throw this at a wall and it'll survive. I won't, but I feel like I could. If anything, this feels like it would be more at home with something like Speed Champions than LEGO Marvel. I don't really mind this though. Speed Champions was a line I wanted to check out anyways, and this feels like it would be some kind of crossover between that theme and Marvel. In the end, we got a pretty good car out of it. Now the car itself is something I really like. I like the black and red color scheme that matches Miles' aesthetic really well. Though it doesn't really feel like something Miles would actually use. It feels like a car a fan would paint in tribute to Miles. Like, have you ever seen those cars that people customize to have anime characters on them and then show them off at conventions? This feels like one of those, and I really like that. Even if I never display Miles actually using this car, I will try and display it as if it was some kind of fan-painted car that was brought to some kind of LEGO con or something. It also feels a bit like a car from Speed Racer, and as a Speed Racer fan, I am perfectly okay with that. Now there are a few features to it, such as these stud shooters with blue studs, as well as an adjustable spoiler, and some blue effect parts to make it look like it's rolling around at the speed of sound. There is even a unique print with the spider logo on it. I was not expecting this to be a print, but it is, and it's pretty good. Though mine is a bit off-centered. Now how does Miles look with the car? Yeah, he looks pretty good. To put him in, you have to remove this windshield piece, and inside you can see a normal steering wheel piece with some speed meters. It's not the most interesting interior, but it's fine enough. I also like how Miles scales with the car. The car isn't oversized, but it's not really tiny either. For me at least, it's a good size. Now let's finally talk about Miles himself. He's very similar to some previous minifigures released based on his standard suit, so if you don't have either of those, this one is definitely something you should get. But if you already own those minifigures, this isn't a major upgrade you need to have. Though the head is reused from the mech suit figure, the only new print here is the torso, which is better than the old ones, but it's not something you need if you already have the old one. But I don't have those older figures, so I'm glad to have this one. He even has some web effects, but in blue, and he looks good with them. If you're interested in how he looks with some other Spider-Man characters, here's Peter Parker Spider-Man, a custom PS4 MJ, and Venom. I think they all look great together. I might even try to find some pieces for a custom Miles head for an unmasked look. Next up is the real star, Dr. Michael Morbius from the hit movie Morbius. Now I won't lie and say I know anything about Morbius outside of all the memes, so I can't say if this is accurate to anything. I just looked up some comic covers and yeah, this figure does look like him. He even has two expressions, which is great. He even has some accessories including bats and potions. So it's not the most impressive figure, but it does get the job done. Especially for such a critically acclaimed character from one of the most well-received movies of. Now I do know that some people have issues with Marvel minifigures not having enough leg printing. On one hand, I would have liked figures like these to have more printing, but on the other hand, this is just kinda how they look. It's not like their designs are the most elaborate designs out there, so at least in this case, I think it's fine for them to have some basic legs. So yeah, while I get why people may not find this set that great, it has a build that makes no sense for the character. LEGO managed to make no sense make about as much sense as it could, and I think it worked out really nicely. The minifigures, while good, aren't the most interesting out there. It has one good minifigure, but that character already has other good minifigures in existence, and the other, while it is good, people only care about it because it's from the greatest movie ever. Because the memes surrounding the character are in all honesty really funny. In the end, this isn't a bad set, but it's not the greatest set ever made. But I somehow ended up really liking it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Now please let me know in the comments why you think I'm going crazy for thinking the set is kinda good, because I agree with you. I don't know why I like the set this much. But if you enjoy my ramblings, hit subscribe so you can see me go more insane. Thanks for watching.